Ever feel like the more you understand people, the lonelier it gets? Like your silence says more than your words, and the more real you are, the more the world pulls away. Especially when it comes to love. Let's not sugarcoat it. Intelligent men unsettle people. Not because they're rude, not because they're cold, but because they're clear, because they see through the fluff, the games, the roles we all pretend to play. And that kind of clarity, that's rare, that's intimidating. See, you're not chasing attention. You're not glued to validation. You're not in the game to be chosen, you're here to choose. And that flips everything on its head. You notice when love feels like performance, when connection is fake, when someone says the right words, but their eyes tell another story. You're not being paranoid, you're just awake. And being awake in a sleeping world makes you look like a threat. Kierkegaard, the guy whose ideas are behind this whole conversation, warned us. The crowd is untruth. Translation: most of society is on autopilot, playing roles, numbing themselves, avoiding reflection. But when a man starts questioning, when he steps off the stage and starts living his own script, he shatters that illusion, and people hate him for it. Women don't fear you because you're too smart. They fear what your intelligence reveals. That you won't flatter to be liked. That you won't bend to be accepted. That you're not here to play a role. They can't use you the way they use charmers and performers. You're not here to perform. You're here to be. When you love, it's not for comfort, it's for truth. And truth can't be manipulated. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It simply is. And most people aren't ready for that. They say they want honesty, but the moment you give it, they flinch. You ever notice how people shrink around your presence? How your silence makes them uneasy? It's not because you're off, it's because you're on. You're present. You see? And in a world built on illusion, being seen feels like exposure. That's why you're misunderstood. That's why they call you cold. But you're not cold. You're clear. Most people confuse being agreeable with being kind. But the intelligent man, he's not agreeable just to keep the peace. He speaks when it matters. He walks away when it costs too much. He doesn't sell his soul just to be invited to the table. You don't try to be liked too. Try to be real. And that is terrifying. You don't chase. You don't explain yourself 10 times to be understood. You don't auction off your truth just to feel desired. You walk alone if you have to, because you know solitude is better than self-betrayal. Modern dating, it's not built for men like you. It rewards confusion, celebrates performance, thrives on emotional unpredictability. But you're calm. You're grounded. You're done chasing chaos and calling it passion. You're not looking for someone to fill your silence, you're looking for someone who respects it. Kierkegaard walked away from the love of his life, not because he didn't care, but because he cared too much. He knew his soul couldn't shrink itself to fit someone else's comfort zone. That's what being an intelligent man is about. It's not about arrogance. It's about alignment. You'd rather be misunderstood than be fake. You'd rather walk alone than play a role. And you know what? That scares people. It scares women who've only known love as chaos. It scares systems built on compliance. It scares the world that profits off distracted, dependent men. You're not looking to be saved. You're not looking to be needed. You're looking to be met. Fully, deeply, honestly. Most people aren't ready for that. So they project. They call you distant, difficult, cold. But you know the truth. You're disciplined with your presence. You don't give it to everyone. You don't flatter people just to fit in. You listen more than you talk. You watch more than you react. And when you do speak, it hits different. Because you've been quiet long enough to actually think. Kierkegaard called this the knight of faith. A man who walks his own path. Quiet, deep, untouchable. He doesn't need applause. He doesn't chase after empty validation. He serves something bigger, his soul, his purpose, his truth. Sound like you. If you've ever felt like you don't belong, good. That means you're not pretending. If you've ever been called too intense, too deep, too serious, good. That means you haven't watered yourself down. You're not too much. You're too real for people used to pretending. That's why you're misread. That's why you intimidate. Because you've stopped playing the game. And when you do that, when you truly step out of the roles and performances everyone else is stuck in, you become dangerous. But not dangerous in a bad way. Dangerous in the way truth is dangerous. Dangerous like stillness in a world of noise. Dangerous like a man who doesn't need anything from anyone, but chooses who and what gets his time, energy, and attention. And when that man loves, it's sacred. It's not about filling holes or fixing wounds. It's about connection. Real, raw, terrifyingly honest connection. That kind of love. Most people aren't ready for it, so they flinch. They retreat. They call it cold. But don't shrink. Don't soften your edges just to make others comfortable. Don't dim your insight just to be accepted. You weren't made to perform. You were made to become. This path, it's not easy. You'll lose people. You'll doubt yourself. You'll feel isolated. But you'll also feel something rare. Peace. A peace that doesn't come from being liked, but from being aligned. The more you walk this path, the more you'll notice at how your silence becomes your power. How your clarity becomes your shield. How your solitude becomes your strength. And one day, maybe someone will meet you in that space, not because you impressed them, but because your presence reminded them of something real inside themselves. But whether they come or not, you keep walking. Because you're not looking for permission anymore. You're not waiting to be told who you are. You already know. You're not broken. You're not too much. You're not cold. You're becoming. And that's right, there's the most terrifying thing you can be in this world. A man who refuses to abandon himself. Now tell me, who could possibly be more powerful than that?